Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to the new video. Disclaimer: none of the events mentioned are true. No idol is being harmed in the video, and any idol doesn't have any type of negative role. It is a pure fictional story. It is just my imagination. So don't take it too hard. Let's start our story. There was a certain peace in the mornings that Minhee had come to love. The way sunlight poured gently across the marble floors. How the world seemed to pause before everyone in the house woke up. It was her quiet time, her moment to breathe before facing the day's silences and sharp glances. But lately, even that peace had begun to feel fragile. Ever since Hania's return, every smile, every step, every gesture felt like walking through glass. Hania had taken up space like she always did, effortlessly, confidently, as though she owned every room she entered. The family had welcomed her with open arms, thrilled at the drama of her repentance. Mrs. Yon especially seemed overjoyed to have her back, filling the house with talk of how kind it was of Jungkook to forgive her. But Minhee saw what the others did. Hanya wasn't here to make peace. She was here to undo everything Minhee had slowly and painfully built. And it was working because Jungkook, though still kind, still steady, had begun to retreat again. It was subtle at first. He would stay longer at work. He would avoid looking at her for too long. He would answer her questions with short, vague replies. Every time she thought they were growing closer, the invisible distance between them stretched wider again. Midden didn't know what she had done wrong, but she was about to find out. It began one evening in Jungkook's study. Hania entered quietly, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He was buried in documents, but his head was lifted slightly when she was about to speak. You are still working? Her voice was soft, carrying concern, carefully threaded with aptitude. I have deadlines, he said, but without looking up. She placed the cup in front of him, her lips curling into a sympathetic smile. You have always worked too hard. You don't have time for yourself. Some things never change. He didn't answer. She sat across from him, studying his face, the faint shadows under eyes. You look tired, she continued, lowering her voice. Marriage hasn't exactly been easy, has it? His eyes flicked up, sharp. That's not your concern. Of course it is, she said, sweetly, softly. You were supposed to marry me once. I still care what happens to you. Jungkook gave a bitter laugh. You cared so much, you left me at the altar. Her face softened, as if it wounded by the memory, and I will regret that forever. But don't you ever think that I haven't seen what's happening here. You and Minhee, things look peaceful, but they are not, are they? He set his pen down slowly. What are you getting at? His voice carrying anger. Hania sighed dramatically, as if reluctant to speak. You deserve to know the truth, Jungkook, about Minhee. About why she really agreed to marry you that day. His brows furrowed. I already know. It was for family honor. Anya shook her head. That's what she told everyone. But that's not the whole story, Jungkook. She leaned forward, voice barely above a whisper. Before the wedding, Minnie told me she would always invite me, my clothes, my life, and even you. She said she could have what I had. When I ran away, she was the one who convinced our parents to go ahead with the marriage. She said it was her chance. Jungkook stared at her, disbelief flickering within his eyes. You are lying. Hanya's expression remained calm, even sorrowful. Why would I lie? I have already lost everything. I am not here to hurt you, Jungkook. I'm just I'm just trying to make things right. You should know who you have opened your heart to. He said nothing. He wanted to believe it was a trick, some desperate attempt to stir trouble. But her tone, so soft, so sincere, pulled at old wounds that had never fully healed. The betrayal, the humiliation, the sense of being used, they all stirred again, raw and heavy. Seeing the flicker of doubt in his eyes, Hanya pressed on. You think she's innocent, but she's clever in her own quiet way. She knows how to make people feel sorry for her. She's playing this role ever since she stepped into this house. Don't you notice how she looks at you? She's not shy, Jungkook. She's proud. She's satisfied. That's enough, he said harshly, pushing his chair back. Hania stood, pretending to flinch. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. I just thought you deserved to know the truth. She turned towards the door, but not before casting one last look over her shoulder. Be careful who you trust, Jungkook. Sometimes the quiet one side carrying the deepest secrets that the other side doesn't know. That night, Jungkook lay awake, some type of flickering in his eyes, staring at the ceiling. Hania's word echoed in his head, cruel whispers weaving through the silence. She invited me, she said. It was her chance. She's satisfied. He tried to push it away, to remember the way Minnie had sat by his bedside when he was ill, the way her voice trembled when she told him to rest. He tried to recall her tears, her laughter, her warmth, but every memory was now laced with uncertainty. What if it was all an act? What if the woman he had begun to trust was just as capable of deception as the one who came before her? He turned toward her sleeping figure beside him. She looked peaceful, her face bathed in moonlight. Too peaceful, too perfect. His chest tightened painfully, and for the first time in months, he felt the old bitterness creeping back. The next morning, Minnie noticed the change immediately. The change that had been in Jungkook after being here with him for months today is the most expressive. Jungkook was distant again. His tone clipped, his eyes unreadable. He barely touched his breakfast that Minnie had made for him and left the table without a word. Is something wrong? She asked quietly, following him to the hallway. He didn't look at her and say no. Then why? Why are you avoiding me? He paused after hearing that from her, his hand tightening around the strap of his bag. Maybe I'm just seeing things clearly again. Her brows furrowed at this answer of Jungkook, and she said, I don't understand. He turned then, his gaze sharp enough to make her flinch. Tell me something, Minnie. Did you ever just once think about refusing the marriage? Her breath caught. Of course, I did, but but you didn't. He interrupted coldly. You agreed without hesitation, she said in a sharp tone. Why? Because our parents. Because you wanted it. He snapped. Because you saw a chance to take what wasn't yours. The words hit her like a slap. What what are you saying? I am saying maybe your sister your sister was right about you. Minnie froze, her heart pounding painfully. Anya, she said softly. He looked away, his jaw tight. She told me everything. Tears stung her eyes, but she forced herself, her voice, to stay calm. And you believe her? Silence. That silence was her answer. Minnie took a shaky breath, trying to steady herself. Jungkook, she's lying. You know, she's lying. You know, I never wanted any of this. She was saying with crying and with soft tone. But he was not. He said, do I? She said bitterly. You were there where my life fell apart. When I was being humiliated in front of everyone. You could have said no, but you stepped in and took her place without a second thought. Minnie said, I did it to protect our families. He laughed humorlessly. That's what everyone says when they want something they can't admit to wanting. Her tears finally fell. You think I wanted to marry a man who hated me, who looked at me like a burden? I only wanted to do what was being right at that time, at that day. Then congratulations, he said coldly, grabbing his coat. Congratulations, you have done it. You have built quite a reputation for being the perfect wife. And with that, he walked out, leaving her standing in the hall. She was trembling in fear. Hania was watching all this view, and she found her there minutes later. Her eyes were red, voice was carrying barely a whisper. Rough morning, Hania asked innocently, sipping from a glass of juice. Minnie was just standing there, silently. She didn't answer of any question of her. Hania tilted her head, feigning sympathy. You can't really blame him. Actually, he's been through a lot. Betrayal does things to people. Minnie finally looked up. her voice cracking. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Hanya asked with wide eyes. You are poisoning him against me. Hanya smiled faintly. I'm just telling the truth. The truth? Minnie's voice trembled with fury. She rarely let herself feel. You lied to him. You made him hate me again. Oh, sweet sister, Hanya said softly, stepping closer. He hated you long before I came back. I'm just reminding him why. Minnie's chest ached so badly. She could hardly breathe. You left him, Hanya. You left everyone that day. Why can't you just go? Why you ever came back here? Because Hanya whispered, her expressions turning sharp. I want back what was mine, what you have snatched from me. And if I can't have him, then I will make sure you don't either. Because what can't be mine, it also can't be yours. So don't cry here. The next few days were torture. Jungkook barely spoke to Minnie, and when he did, his words were curt and distant. He worked late, avoided dinner, and when he came home, he slept on the far edge of the bed. Minnie tried to reach him, to explain, but every attempt was met with silence or cold dismissal. Still, she refused to give up. One evening, when he came home, she waited for him by the door. Please, she said softly, just just let me explain. She begged him, but he sighed. Exhaustion was filled in his eyes. Minnie, not now. Then when? She pressed, her voice breaking. When you have decided completely that I am the villain, that she said to you that I am. He turned away, but she stepped forward, desperate. Jungkook, I have never ever lied to you. I have never wanted anything but peace in this house. If you can't believe my words, believe my actions. Look at how I have lived here with your silence, your anger, your indifference. Do you think I endured all of that for money? His jaw clenched, but he didn't meet her gaze. Please, she whispered, don't let her take away what little we have built. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Jungkook said quietly, I need time. She nodded, though her heart was shattering. Take all the time you want, she murmured. But just remember that I will still be here. Because I meant every word of the vows. you didn't even want to say. He froze for a second at her words, guilt flashing briefly across his features. But he said nothing and walked away from her side. That night, Minnie stood by the window, staring at the moonlight spilling over the garden. It had always been her place of peace, her safe corner in a house that often felt like a cage. But tonight, the roses she would tend so lovingly looked different, pale, fragile, as it is reflecting the edge inside her. Behind her, in another wing of the house, Hania smiled to herself as she watched Jungkook pour himself another drink. She had been the way his shoulders stiffened when he would walked past Minnie. Hope you guys like the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. And for videos like more, tell me in comment section what type of videos do you like and what type of story do you like the most. I will be happily be able to make it for you. Okay, that's it for bye bye. See you soon.